I don't know about you, but I hate the in-between. That place where you're not where you used to be and you're not where you want to be. You're just stuck in the in-between. Many of us are in that moment right now. We're not where we used to be. We're not living the life that we used to live. We're ordered to stay at home. We're quarantined. We're walking around in masks. We're 6 feet apart from everybody else. We're looking at people askance. We're nervous about being in the presence of others. But we know this is not a forever moment, that there will be a day where we're not living life the way we are right now. That's where we want to be. But we're in the in-between right now. In John chapter 11, we find a family that was living in between. Mary, Martha, and Lazarus lived in Bethany, and they were great friends with Jesus. And Jesus is ministering around the area in Judea, and Lazarus falls sick. Mary and Martha send word to Jesus and say, Lazarus, your friend, is sick. And yet Jesus continues to minister there in Judea. And finally, he says, it's time for us to go to Bethany. By the time Jesus gets to Bethany, Lazarus has died. And Mary and Martha are stuck in the in-between. Mary and Martha were living in that moment of, we don't like where we are. It's not where we used to be. And it's not where we want to be. We're stuck in this moment. Their brother was dead. The arrangements were made. The mourners had arrived. But where was Jesus? The uncertainty of that in-between that they experienced and that we experience can fill us with fear. It can create a whirlwind of frustration for us. It can saturate our body and soul with fatigue. And I know many of you are feeling that today, but the good news about the in-between is that Jesus has come to rescue us from grief, from despair, and to give us hope. Hope is that picture that we find in John chapter 11. In John chapter 11, Martha comes to Jesus as he walks into Bethany, and in verse 20 and following, it says, Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him, but Mary was sitting in the house. Now Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. You hear the haunting tone of the in-between. Verse 22, but even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. And so there's that sense of hope in the person of Jesus that Martha had even then. Verse 23, Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Martha said, yeah, I know that he'll rise again in the resurrection at the last day. But Jesus said to her, I'm the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? And Martha said, yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who has come into the world. What Jesus was doing is he was helping Mary and Martha see that there is hope. And that hope gives us courage and confidence living in the in-between. We can have hope because Jesus offers rescue, and Jesus offers rescue because of His great love. And Jesus left Mary and Martha and He went to the tomb. And if you look there in verse 34, it says, Jesus says to the people, where have you laid Lazarus? And they said to Him, Lord, come and see. Verse 35, and Jesus wept. That weeping of Jesus, moved in His heart by the terrible pain written across the soul of those He loved, Jesus wept. This love sent Jesus on a mission of rescue to Lazarus in the grave. This love has sent Jesus on a mission of rescue to sinners like you and me, captured in sin's grip. And He offers us this rescue through His death on a cross and His resurrection from the dead. Jesus has loved us so much that He gave His life for us so that we who believe in Him might live, might have a life without any missing parts. There's our hope in the midst of the in-between, that even as we're walking in the shadow and the shade of a tombstone, we know that Jesus is the resurrection and the life, and He's offered us this rescue because He loves us. We can have hope of Jesus rescuing us because He rescues us based upon His authority and power. Mary and Martha wanted their brother to be okay, and then he died. But they never expected that Jesus would rescue their brother from death after his death. And Jesus had other plans. Jesus went to the tomb and He said, "Roll away the stone." And after some objection about Lazarus being in the ground for 3 days, they rolled away the stone. And then Jesus called out the name of His friend. Although despair and the pain of our lives can consume us, we can have hope in the power and the authority of Jesus to call our name and bring us up even out of our grave clothes. "Lazarus, come forth," Jesus said. He called Lazarus by name. Friends, I want you to know, no matter how difficult this journey has been for you, no matter the pain or the discomfort that you're feeling right now, no matter the fear or the anxiety, if you know Jesus, make no mistake, He knows you, and He is calling you by name. Can you hear Him calling your name to bring you up out of your death clothes and promise you a hope that only He can give, a hope that is found and based upon His love and upon His power, a hope that is based upon what He has done for sinners like you and me upon a cross, as He died in our place for our sin, as He was buried in the ground for 3 days, and then as He Himself was raised from the dead. He offers us a life that is shaped by His love, offering us forgiveness for our sin and hope for our tomorrow. Can you hear Him calling your name? There was a little 4-year-old boy named Jonathan, and he was trying to memorize the Lord's Prayer. You know the Lord's Prayer, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Well, on one Sunday, as the family was praying the Lord's Prayer together before a meal, Jonathan could be heard reciting his version of the Lord's Prayer, and his voice was raised above all the other family members. He said, "Our Father who art in heaven, I know you know my name." Friends, that is so true today for you and for me as followers of Jesus. God knows your name, and He knows your need, and He sends Jesus today to help you in just the right way at just the right time. Jesus sees you, He knows you, and He has the power to give you hope.